Shrimadbhagavatam, His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki, Their Most Merciful Lordship, Shri Shrigadaganya Bihari ki, Shri Jagannath, Shri Baladeva, Subhadra ki, Shri Nataji, Shri Balagopal ki, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Nitai Go Premanand. All goodies to the assembled devotees. All goodies to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lord's feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamujiraya Nastapraishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtaki. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 19. Na Vai Jano Katana Chana Vrajan Navai Jano Jatu Kata Chana Vrajan Mukunda Seve Anyavad Anga Samstim Mukunda Sevi Anyavad Anga Samstrim Smaran Mukundangri Upaguhanam Punar Smaran Mukundangri Upaguhanam Punar Vihatu Ichen Na Rasa Graho Jana Vihatum Ichin Narasa Graho Jana Navai Jano Jatu Katanchana Vrajan Mukunda Sevyana Vadanga Samsritim Smaran Mukundangri Upagahan Pumar Vihatum Ichenara Sagraho Jana Navai Jano Jatu Kata Chana Vrajan Mukunda Sevyan Yavaranga Samsritim Smaran Mukundangri Upaguhanam Punar Vihatum Ichenara Sagraho Jana. One more time. Navai Jano Jatu Kata Chana Vrajan Mukunda Sevyan Yavaranga Samsritim Smaran Mukundangri Upaguhanam Punar Vihatum Ichenara Sagraho Jana Navai Jano Jatu Katanchana Vrajan Mukunda Sevyanyavadanga Samsritim Smaran Mukundangri Upagohanam Punar Vihatu Michanara Sagraho Jana. No, never. Vai, certainly. Jana, a person. Jatu, at any time. Katanchana, somehow or other. Avrajit, does not undergo. Mukunda Sevi, the devotees of the Lord. Anyavat, like others. Anga, oh my dear. Samsritim, material existence. Smaran, remembering. Mukunda Angri, the lotus feet of the Lord. Apaguhanam, embracing. Puna, again. Vihatum, willing to give up. Ichet, desire. Na, never. Rasagraha, one who has relished the mellow. Jana, person. Navajano jatu katanchana vrajan mukunda sevyanyavadanga samsritim smaran mukundangri upaguhanam punar vihatu michanara sagraho jana. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear Vyas, even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes falls down somehow or other, he certainly does not undergo material existence like others, fruitive workers, etc. Because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again. Please repeat. My dear Vyas, even though a devotee of the Lord Krishna sometimes falls down, somehow or other, he certainly does not undergo material existence like others, fruitive workers, etc. Because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again. My dear Vyas, even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes falls down somehow or other, he certainly does not undergo material existence like others, fruitive workers, etc. Because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again. Purport by His Divine Grace of Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A devotee of the Lord automatically becomes uninterested in the enchantment of material existence because he is rasa graha, or one who has tasted the sweetness of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. There are certainly many instances where devotees of the Lord have fallen down due to uncongenial association, just like fruitive workers who are always prone to degradation. But even though he falls down, a devotee is never to be considered the same as a fallen karmi. Karmi suffers the result of his own fruitive reactions, whereas a devotee is reformed by chastisement directed by the Lord Himself. The sufferings of an orphan and the sufferings of a beloved child of a king are not one and the same. An orphan is really poor because he has no one to take care of him. But a beloved son of a rich man, although he appears to be on the same level as the orphan, is always under the vigilance of his capable father. A devotee of the Lord, due to wrong association, sometimes imitates the fruit of workers. The fruit of workers want to lord it over the material world. Similarly, a neophyte devotee foolishly thinks of accumulating some material power in exchange for devotional service. Such foolish devotees are sometimes put into difficulty by the Lord himself. As a special favor, he may remove all material paraphernalia. By such action, the bewildered devotee is forsaken by all friends and relatives. And so he comes to his senses again by the mercy of the Lord and is set right to execute his devotional service. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated that such fallen devotees are given a chance to take birth in a family of highly qualified Brahmins, or in a rich mercantile family. A devotee in such a position is not so fortunate as one who is chastised by the Lord and put into a position seemingly of helplessness. The devotee who becomes helpless by the will of the Lord is more fortunate than those who are born in good families. The fallen devotees born in a good family may forget the lotus feet of the Lord because they are less fortunate, but the devotee who is put into a forlorn condition is more fortunate because he swiftly returns to the lotus feet of the Lord, thinking himself helpless all around. Pure devotional service is so spiritually relishable that a devotee becomes automatically uninterested in material enjoyment. That's the sign of perfection in progressive devotional service. A pure devotee continuously remembers the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna and does not forget him, even for a moment, not even in exchange for all the opulence of the three worlds. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshusu Malitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I am being reminded by this verse, this story I was told that happened with Sri Vyasadeva, and it was at a point that he was speaking this, that Ganesh, when he heard Vyas say, if a devotee falls down, and when Ganesh heard that, he said, no, I can't write that. The devotee doesn't fall down. And so he refused to write. So he went to his ashram. Big storm comes, right? Rain, thunder, lightning, everything really stormed really bad. And here, Jai Shishivara Gandhili Hari, Jai Digana, Jai Bhagavade, Mari Subhadra, Jai Shishivara. Out in the forest, he hears the crying voice. Sounds like a wailing woman. We're talking about an orphan here. See how Brahman is so kindly inclined towards those who are in distress, right? That's the nature of a Brahman. So he hears this really distressed, sounds like a woman, distressed in this storm. And he himself, thinking about how the severe storm is, whether he should even go out, but he goes to the call of the sound of the voice he hears. And this woman, she has a veil over her face, nicely dressed. But she's just like dropped off in the middle of nowhere. And he wants to be able to help her, but here he is, he's a brahmachari, right? So he says, well, I have a room for guests in my ashram. He says, but I'm a brahmachari. I'm not supposed to entertain women. He said, but I will stay in my room and then you can stay separately in the other room. So he brings her into his shelter, gives her shelter, and realizes he's just going to give her shelter. She'll be going the next day, so it's the only chance to give what he knows of Shrimadbhagavatam already to this point that he's getting directly from Vedavyas. So he's preaching to her. And then he starts explaining, he says, you know, there are a lot of ghosts in this area. And tonight, when we take rest, I'm going to lock your door. And if any ghost tries to imitate my voice, don't let him in. Don't let him in. They may try to imitate me, and they'll come in and they'll haunt you for the rest of your life, he says. So don't open the door to anyone. So nightfall comes, she goes into her room, he goes into his room. As he's falling asleep, he's like halfway asleep and halfway awake. All he can see is her face. And it's like, he can only see her eyes, but it's the most attractive face he's ever seen in his life. He keeps pondering, can't sleep. Why does his face keep coming to me? Must be, Guru must be sending her for me to preach. So, knocks on her door. It's me, let me in. I want to tell you some more things about Bhagavatam. Oh, no. Ganesh warned me. He said, no, I understand. You're a ghost, probably. No, you can't come in. So he's trying to persuade her very nicely. And then remembering things, the conversations they had through the day, he brings up to her memory that only he would know. Finally, he convinces her to open the door. So she opens the door, and she's laying there, still has the veil on her face. And he's sharing more stories. But as he's looking into her face, he's thinking how he's never seen a woman's face before. What to speak, he's never kissed a woman before. So he's thinking like this. And such beauty he's never seen. It seems like she looks like she's pure-hearted. And he tells her, I wonder what it would be like to kiss a woman. In fact, if I ever saw someone I would like to kiss, she would look like you. So he gets very close to her. And she takes the veil off of her face, and big beard pops out of Vedavyas. So devotee can't fall down, right? And see, so he came back to writing Shrimadbhagavatam. Guru proved to him, see, and in this, there's here a way to reveal in this verse as well as how Krishna, he punishes, he corrects, he gives guidance very mercifully. See, here his disciple is, Ganesh, lusting after the figure of a woman, which is not actually a woman anyway. It's because of the beauty of purity. And he could transform Vedavyas, being an expansion of Krishna, he could transform himself into any form he wanted to. Even once, who was born blind? Dhritarashtra. See, when Vedavyas to the woman who he was going to give birth to, Dhritarashtra, saw him, she was not pleased by his appearance. So she requested that he put a bag over his head. This is revealing as well the secret of the science that Krishna talks about. I am that sex life. When a man is thinking, what a man is thinking about in his mind, at the time he gives his wife the seed, that's what he will have the qualities of. She made him blind. I put in a bag over, it says he's blind. And he gave birth to, she gave birth to Dhritarashtra, born blind. Similarly, we can see by these examples in history how important it is, if we want this earth to be populated with souls that are pure hearts, then at that moment, if we're going to be grihastas, I don't know if you guys are going to be grihastas. This might be worthless language. Yeah. But even so, we learn the language because we're going to come in contact with the most amount of people we're going to come in contact are going to be those who are either in the grihasta ashram or seeking to become grihastas. Even when young boys start in the brahmachari ashram, and especially when I first came, fanatically so, grihasta ashram was looked at like big, big Maya. Big, big Maya. Sex life, basically. But we see in Vedic culture that every Brahmin gets married. Not like you jump into sannyas before the time, unless you're a Dhruva Maharaj. There are examples of those who do that, but it's very rare. So marriage is a normal progress the soul makes towards experiencing those kinds of relationships that require responsibility. A father then becomes responsible, right, for his offspring that he's brought into the world, for his wife who's caring for his offspring. He's helping her to bring them up in a way that can make the world a better place. The generation that's coming is the future of the world, right? But these holy names, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalona Stevena, Stevena, Steva, Yichiranyata. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. In this age of Kali, to chant, then this chanting, to create love of God in the hearts of all souls who are looking for their own satisfaction. And by the singing, melodious singing and dancing and chanting, we can reveal that kind of happiness that all human beings are supposed to be having at every moment with Krishna. The soul is not bliss sometimes. Soul is bliss all the time. But how much of it are we experiencing through the day? Are we experiencing what we are meant to experience in our consciousness? Is our consciousness being filled by contemplating on those activities of Krishna? We get to see real, you say, enlightenment. But stories about Krishna not only enlighten us about what brings happiness to him, but we see how little details in his life, aspects of devotees' lives and characters, he reveals to be important to him. Maybe little quirks and things here and there that people do. And so Krishna magnifies his devotees by various aspects of their personalities that are outlined in their way of worship to him. So some devotees are able to worship him with their minds. And Krishna accepts that form of worship. And in your mind, you can offer Krishna pure gold. In your mind, and these things your mind is actually creating. It is the consciousness that your mind is capable of using. The mind, untrained, is incapable of realizing its own abilities. So, most of our devotional abilities are yet to be manifest. And as we become perfected then, the activities we engage in also become more and more perfect. So if our consciousness is in proper attitude towards Krishna, then our experience of the happiness that serving Krishna produces will increase as well. So that makes it more and more difficult to even conceive of leaving Krishna's shelter and only wanting to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet and to do those things that free us from the effects that we would be otherwise experiencing if we were left on our own to try and figure this whole thing out for ourselves. I keep realizing what is coming in the future. In effect, it's happened over and over and over again in history. But in another perspective, everything that is existing at this moment, at the most advanced time, there is in the existence of everything, right? Even the eternal world right now is at the most advanced place it has ever come to. Every moment, we're getting more and more into the future, which should be more advanced than the past. But on earth, it looks to me as though the people who are calling civilizations primitive because they killed their game with bow and arrows, or because they even had slings to throw rocks at them to kill their game, but they're engaged in how to kill mankind, how to become more and more adept at developing machines that have the ability to destroy mankind. They're sending thousands and thousands and thousands of these rockets containing bombs that are weighing tons, each of which are costing sometimes in the millions of dollars, all paid for by the people in the nations who are sending them, who are working and paying taxes to the government, thereby reaping upon themselves whether they want to go to war or not, whether they want to fight people or not, whether they want to kill for the cause or not. They are forced to contribute to this big pot called war. We're going to pay for the war. We're going to make money off the war. We're going to encourage people to go to war. This is all creating consciousness. And that which is being deemed as, in some nations, in Israel, for example, you don't get into college without having had some military training. They train you in the military arts. It's a part of the responsibility of being a human being there, because they are so surrounded continuously by countries and people that want to wipe them out, which is also crazy nonsense. So how can we have in our minds to develop love of God, simultaneously holding in our minds hatred toward human beings who are in the very form that God is in? This is why the mouth is the dirtiest opening on the whole human body. Because with the same whole, we glorify and praise how wonderful God is. Oh, but these human beings, they're terrible. They deserve to burn in hell. Or I'm going to go kill them all, right? So we can't develop love of God if we're holding these kinds of thoughts in our minds. And from what it looks like, there are so many incidents of young people having these thoughts in their minds to bring upon their fellow students, their fellow associates, that they should be experiencing friendship with, yet they have in their minds to kill and destroy. It is a evidence of what is being allowed to enter into these young people's minds. In an ashram that these great elevated sages who had even personal relationship with Krishna, or sages who had personal relationship with Krishna, they had association with such ones. They were removed from the society who was involving itself in this way out of necessity. The nations are developing these things, in many cases, for protection of themselves, for defense, as it's called, defense. It's like here, we have a building that's secured, for the most part, from outer influences that may want to destroy us. So nations, in the same way, have over the years developed the means by which to protect themselves from one another, which is a total waste of human energy, which should not have to be wasted, right? If we were loving one another, caring for one another, and engaging in human activities for the furtherance of the well-being of the human population that we are part of, this planet could be free from deserts, free from lack of food for anyone, free from disease. We could be free from all these things if we as a society were all working towards the benefit of human society. We're not. We're not. And a society is set up in such a way that we can be rewarded even though we are affecting society in a harmful way. And so how can we expect society to make progress materially or spiritually with this going on? So modern medicine is claiming, oh, we have the longest lifespan ever because we are so advanced medicinally. No, that's not what the history, that's not what the true histories of all the civilizations are telling us. People living to 100 and 200 and 300 and 500 and 1,000. Krishna was living amongst people. He was 125 years old fighting the battle, and the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna was. And at that time, that would have been thought to be like in his prime. That was when people lived to be 1,000 years old. And now we're being told, they're saying about 72 is, quote, quote, the life expectancy. So this is what the number that the insurance companies figure out how they can make profits off of the people that buy life insurance. It's death insurance, actually, to ensure that when you die, there's enough money for your family. That's death insurance, not life insurance. Life for them, but who is it for? Are you buying it for yourself? No. You got to bury yourself today. In times past, when a person died, the family did everything they could to make a comfortable resting place for them to have their bodies 6 feet under. The person didn't have to bury themselves. Now, you have to buy your own casket 10, 20, 30, 40 years in advance, so that you're not looked at as a decrepit, egocentric human being that had no care for anybody but himself. So society is keeping us, even in the involvement we have with defense, because we have to have defense, keeps us, the time we use developing defense, from experiencing the highest experiences of the total protection Krishna is by his presence. When I talked to Tirthapan about getting a gun, for the defense of the temple, because temples have been invaded before by Muslims. One devotee lost use of his leg, Raghunath Swami, protecting the temple that they had. They only had a little 22, I think it was. Against a mob of 20, 30 people, that's not going to do much. But Tirthapan keeps saying, Krishna will protect us. And he's right. Krishna will. And Krishna gives us mantras more powerful than guns. So, even we do get shot and killed in the temple, going back to Godhead. So we don't have to really worry about it. But the thing in my mind is, where will the temple be without the devotees to serve in the temple? So we do want to preserve life. It's not like we're trying to leave before our time. We anticipate Vaikuntha, such a wonderful place, I got to go there now and jump off a cliff, That's not the way it is. Because we can know the consciousness of Vaikuntha here and now. Wherever we are, wherever we go. The saying that I was taught in Vrindavan by Vrindapati Prabhu, who was temple president there in Vrindavan at that time, who gave such wonderful, enlightening tours of the Holy Dham. He said, when you leave here, don't leave Vrindavan here. Bring Vrindavan with you. So that's what we can do when we go out. We're by bringing Krishna consciousness with us. We have Krishna in our hearts. That's prompting us at every meeting we have with other human beings to instill within our minds some means of being able to give them now the treasure we have of Krishna. And so by having this greatest treasure then, we develop that communication. We need to be able to give this treasure to everyone we meet. So we're not looking to, with anticipation, to try and before our time, like I was preaching yesterday, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, do our business. If we're busy about our business doing what we're supposed to do, at the proper time, we will be given the privilege of being able to leave. And we will continue our service, though. We should have the proper perspective on leaving, that in the next position we'll be in. What do you want to tell Krishna? When you leave your body, if you're going to see Krishna face to face, what are you going to say? You're going to tell him something? You're going to ask him something? You're going to offer respect? What are you going to say? We should think about this every day. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to say something that would make Krishna smile? What to speak of making him laugh, I think a lot of times we can make him laugh just by some of the prayers we ask, things we ask for, when we could be asking for more valuable, which is him himself. And rather than spending the time asking him, it's chanting. If we spend the time chanting, it gives him the most pleasure. This chanting of Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it is in finding what brings Krishna happiness, that we will also find the happiness automatically, so we don't have to make a separate endeavor for it. And that will give us the realizations we're hoping for as well. Because we need hope, we need faith, and we need a foundation of faith so strong that we know it will keep us strengthened, because there are calamities, extreme calamities that are coming. We don't have to fear, but we do have to know Krishna can protect us, like Tirthapat says. We don't have to worry. Krishna will protect us. That's what he says, and that's true. As long as we continue on this path of bhakti. And as it's being brought out, we may find times we fall down. But if we have the experience of Krishna consciousness to the extent that we have developed a desire to please Krishna in our hearts, Krishna will protect us. And he's got more protective concern for us. Otherwise, he would have no desire to help us. So he's revealing the desire he has to help us when we do fall down, to pick us up. So that can keep us from falling down, knowing that. Someone accuses you of something that you haven't done, you feel angst towards them. So if somebody accredits you with goodness that you don't deserve, what does that make you feel towards them? Pretty good? Or the same angst? It's all consciousness that we are being instructed that we have, and that means training the mind. That's what consciousness means, training the mind, and by simply applying the principles, and especially shikshastikam. As long as we keep that attitude lower than the straw on the street, more humble than the blade of grass, more humble than a tree. A tree, you can kick a tree, he won't kick you back. You can cut a tree, anything you want to do to that tree, you just tolerate. More tolerant. And ready to take all disrespect from other people. They want to disrespect us. As it is said, we will accumulate all the goodness. You can actually anticipate, when is somebody going to accuse me wrongly? Because when they do, you accumulate all their good works, all their punya. Of course, we're not looking for punya. Automatically, transcendence is beyond punya. So you could spend your whole life of 100 years doing everything you can to reap this life. Taking part in devotional activities every week, holding a responsible position in a job, having a job that doesn't create so much karma, having a nice family, having a big home, and all these things. But you desire that, you create the desire in your heart of how satisfying an experience that is, and it creates the need for it to be continuing for you. If you want this, if you really want this as a reward for serving God, that's what you will get. That's the problem. We have to know what the highest reward is. And if our endeavors in this planet are that which are destructive to the planet, then our life is saying one thing, our mind is feeling one thing, and our hopes and dreams are something else again. So everything's got to be in accord, working together. Have either of you ever sat through one of these congressional hearings? You've heard these guys, they're the lawmakers, right? The legislators. They are so argumentative against each other. It's obvious they don't know right from wrong themselves. They can't conduct themselves in their own audience without accusing each other of being liars and thieves and crooks and everything else. And they're using the legal system as a means to justify taking each other to court, fighting against each other, while all the responsible positions they're holding are being left to be done by nobody. Who's doing their job while they're fighting each other? Nobody. It's not getting done. In effect, their life is saying, my job is not necessary. If they're making it to be something other than it is, and engaging in that. That's what we do with our life, with material life. We engage as souls. We give our minds over to the control of other philosophical conclusions than that which brings the eternal result. And thereby, when we surrender our bodies, all the senses of our mind become controlled by those who are paying us the money for the use. What do we call that on the street when a woman does it? We call it prostitution. This is what is spoken of in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, as harlot. It's called the great harlot. What is that? The harlot is also being described as, quote unquote, the church. So what is that? On the one hand, we want to serve God, but with our lives, we're serving the energy of this world. And it's tearing us apart. This is why we trouble our minds. Our minds get troubled, torn in two ways. I want to serve God. I got to have money. I got to live. I got to survive. I got to eat. I got to do all these things. So you can see how easy it is in the temple to serve when all these things are provided for. I don't have to go shopping. I don't have to buy food. I don't have to do any of these things. I don't have to make things for people. I have 3 offerings a day I can eat in. I cook 1 offering a day. I can eat 3 meals a day and only have to cook 1. I got a pretty easy life, actually. And Krishna is saying, the end will be even greater. I'm living really free. I would never, in my wildest imagination as a teenager, have dreamt that I would have a future life as easy as my life is becoming. If I want to, I could go from here right now, jump on a bus, airplane, whatever. I go anywhere I want to in the world. And I could jump in another temple and offer my services. I'm totally happy right here. I couldn't be any more happy in my own mind, serving or doing anything other than what I'm doing right here. Krishna is so kind. I feel as though, see, by the Bible standards, and I came here as a Christian, believing that this is the fulfillment of what Christianity says you will get after you die and go to heaven. You get to be clothed in white, revealing the purity of the soul. You're clothed in white. You get another name. We get that here. This is described in Revelation as what happens to you after you die and after you're purified by it. Devotee is doing that here. You get a new name. What's so great about that? You get a new name, it gives you a realization of the real you, who you are. And it is a name that brings you to the realization of your Krishna. What to speak, your parents gave you this name, Krishna, from birth, and wrote it also. See, all these names in India automatically are directed to Krishna. So you're by being given a name. See, I was given at birth the name Edward. When I grew up in life, I wanted to know if that had any meaning. Edward is a guardian of peace, I came to find out. So I came to cherish that as having meaning to my life. And so that is what a name is supposed to be. Which we do that with things. We name a chair and recognize it for the purpose it's created to sit. They're supposed to be, by what purpose they have in life. We name a table by its function, and we know its familiarity with the word table by the fact that it serves a purpose of food, and having places to put things that we can read or whatever. So a human being has certain functions. And if he's given a name according to the function he serves, he himself can come to the better realization, understanding of what place he fits in society. And there's not a question then. See, children, ancient Native American Indian rites were performed for children to become men at young ages, 13 years old. They don't have to go out in the wilderness by themselves. They might have a weapon, one little knife or something. They have to spend the whole night, or maybe a week. And these so-called rites of passage, so to speak, is a garbadan samskar, turned in a little different way according to time and circumstance for the civilization. But you can see the civilizations have passed down these practices that have their pure form. And when we as devotees become pure in our application of those forms, then all these other civilizations who have taken those pure forms and changed them, recognize them as the pure form that they are, and then they say, oh, that's where our practice came from. And then Krishna consciousness becomes a part of their life also. And they realize where it came from. Native American Indians, they had what was called totem poles. You ever heard of that? A totem pole is a recognition of the forefathers. The chief of each tribe, the forefathers, was put on a pole, beginning from the bottom, going up. And they built them up, and so that then they would know their children immediately, seeing these totem poles, they would know the whole history of their families. Who was a chief? So in this way, see, they have practices that we call parampara. It's just, so we have historical accounts, but it's been perverted. We have the purest form, and we have to give it in that form. Any comments, any questions? Oh my God, it's afternoon. And it's Ekadasi, but we have until after 11 o'clock to pray, so. Any questions? Shrimadbhagavatam, ki jai, ki Vyasadeva, ki jai, ki Ganesh ji, ki jai. Ganesh is writing actually the Shrimadbhagavatam. Well, Veda Vyasa